What's the most uncomfortable, without being painful, feeling in the world? When it constantly feels like you have to pee, and you keep going to pee but there's no pee to pee. I guess UT is what I'm looking to say. This right here, wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. My dog just licked my jeans and I've remembered all of the times my dog has ever licked my jeans, and that's a feeling I don't like. If you think that's bad, one time a cow licked my elbow while I had on a thermal bodysuit, volunteer farm work in the cold, the tongue wrapped completely around my elbow. It caught me completely off guard too. I was leaning on the fence looking somewhere else and didn't expect the cow to come up behind me, and certainly not to do that. Not sure about the most uncomfortable, but the thing that comes to mind for me is dental work. I took pretty crap care of my teeth growing up, so I've needed a couple of root canals and extractions as an adult. Having a tooth yanked out doesn't hurt, so long as the anesthetic is working properly, but you can still sort of feel the pressure of it. And just knowing that someone is using a pair of pliers to pull a tooth out of your jaw is discomforting in and of itself. I had a sinus lift after having my tooth pulled. BC, there wasn't enough room for my fancy fake tooth. What happens during this procedure is the doc takes a tiny hammer and pounds your jawbone and the hole where your tooth was until it has lifted enough for the fake tooth to fit. Extremely surreal. He told me that it will feel like I am pounding your jaw through your eye, and that's exactly what it felt like. Having to pee or poo really badly but not being able to because there isn't an accessible toilet nearby or you're in public. But it's arguably painful, lol. When you're a woman and you wear a maxipad in bed at night, you will occasionally turn onto your back and feel blood going up your butt crack. It's 1 AM and you're so freaking tired and you don't feel like getting up and going to the bathroom to clean up your situation, but you have to because it will drive you insane. Being a woman sucks sometimes. Sometimes I can feel it run up my back just a bit. I have a heavy flow once in a while, and I just jump up, change my underwear and my nightgown and take a shower, even though I did before I go to bed, and go back to bed and tried to go back to sleep but can't cause doing all that just woke my butt up. That's what I hate whenever I have a heavy flow that month. Also, farting while I'm on my period too is just as bad as this. Having a clogged nose. This was my life until I was in my 30s. It was miserable. Then I moved out of the Rocky Mountains and into the southern US. And now I can breathe normally. I guess the humidity helps. My science teacher said this. I got some chemicals in my eye, and I had to go see the doctors immediately after washing my eyes intensely. The doctors gave me a chemical that forced my eyes to be completely open, as wide as they can be. They pinned my eyelids open. I don't know how that was done, and shined a super bright light into my eyes to look for traces of the chemical. It was the most unnatural thing I could ever experience. Every instinct in my body was to dial it, but it was not possible, and the brain doesn't like that at all. I can't imagine it at all because my brain can't comprehend it. It's like thinking of a new color. When you are introduced to a new person, coupled by your so-and-so eventually has to use the restroom, the forced awkward small talk is the worst feeling ever. Should add that I am the poster child for introversion. If your shirt is too small, and it's not meant to be a crop top, and your pants are too big, you end up with the bottom of your back, or even your crack if you're not careful, exposed every time you stand up, sit down and have to keep pulling your pants up, shirt down to stop it. Hope this makes sense, lol. That was literally my entire high school career, or the early 2000s when your thong underwear was supposed to show above your pants. I'm in my 30s now and understand why my uncool mom wore pants above her pubic bone. My mom jeans will have to be ripped from my cold dead hands. This is borderline pain, but sitting in an uncomfortable position while getting a haircut. You can't move because you'll mess up your hair, so you have to sit there focusing more and more on the uncomfortable state you're in. Vertigo. Get it sometimes with ear infections, but fell down a flight of stairs once and had severe vertigo for over 6 months. Woke me from sleep. Had to hang on to my bed because I was constantly falling. In my mind, it was horrid. My dad had Parkinson's. His major symptom was vertigo. It never left him. He was such a good man, and it sucked the life from him. The split second in the middle of a heated argument when you realize that you're wrong. Worst feeling ever. Then you have to apologize. Ugh. Better to let go of the ego a bit than double down tbh. The tickly vibrating feeling when your feet fall asleep on the shitter and you have to awkwardly stand on them for a minute or so while the feeling comes back enough to walk. Hex itch after a sunburn. It doesn't hurt, but it is so goddamn itchy that it is impossible to become comfortable. I've only had it once, but I wanted to rip my shoulders from their sockets, it was so uncomfortable. A panic anxiety attack. Especially if it feels like the world is ending but in reality nothing is happening and it's just your brain being fucky. Getting the spins after 1 too many drinks. Knowing you'll need to get up and be sick in a minute or two, but the bathroom is cold and hard, and you're only in your undies. But the cold, hard bathroom can be so soothing to nausea. It's a good litmus test for me actually. If you lay by the toilet, or bend over it, and manage not to be sick, you're probably not gonna be. Going to a theme park. Getting shoes and socks soaking wet at 9 AM. No change of shoes or socks. Walk around until 11 PM. My feet looked disgusting afterwards. Let's go around the room and tell everybody an interesting fact about ourselves. Anon, would you like to start us off? Somehow you immediately forget every fact about your life. The most physical uncomfortable feeling I have ever experienced was a post-gallbladder surgery removal of a drain tube. If I had to describe it, imagine having a dream where a vein is being pulled out of your body. It's long and gross. In the dream you don't feel the pain, but you kind of have an idea of what it should feel like, so mentally you are going through the motions. It is kind of like that with a very unpleasant physical sensation of something actually being ripped out of your body. As someone with long hair, sometimes a loose strand will fall down the back of my shirt and I can feel it tickling me, but I can't reach up my shirt to grab it, or if I can it becomes impossible to locate. When you become aware of your own nose and the fact you can literally always see it but your brain decides not to let you see it, it just makes me really uncomfortable IDKY. That popcorn kernel that gets stuck in that spot where the back of your tongue and your tonsil touches. No amount of hacking, urine, or water drinking will dislodge it. When you feel you're menstruating through your pants but you aren't sure and aren't able to excuse yourself to a bathroom to check. Loss doesn't necessarily hurt physically, but as a quote I saw recently suggested, it's like the grief welling up inside you is lost love that has nowhere to go. Feeling blister forming in a new pair of shoes, but the feeling before it's actually there, you know it's gonna be a pain, but you have to walk in those shoes until the end of the day. Just laying there, being fully aware of everything you should be doing and still not doing it, and you're having a freaking panic attack and screaming inside, but outside you're just answering to an AskReddit post. I scrolled a bunch and saw some really great answers, but can't believe I didn't see this. Being unable to unpop your ears. I'd rather just cut my head off and call it good, thanks. I get migraines and there's times I have a silent migraine. I am dizzy, sensitive to lights, sounds and odors. I am uncomfortable, nauseated, even deal with the typical hallucinations, but all without the pain. It takes time to realize what it is and it's the most annoying feeling. Migraines themselves are freaking heck, but it's freaking unnerving to have the symptoms without the pain. Why is that light so painfully bright right now? Oh. I helped get someone fired once and then a few months later had to be in an elevator with him while he stared at me angrily and said nothing. So that was cool. He was working dishonestly and saying he had done a task he was supposed to do, and I warned him the day he got fired not to do that or his direct superiors would probably be investigating. He called me a B and told me to frick off. They came to investigate and he was fired right on the spot. When you're pooping out the kind of poop that's in a long stick, but suddenly the poops pass in half, and then you can't get at the other half. A general feeling of discontentment, but you don't know why, and it's very persistent. I refer to it as waking up on the wrong side of life. It's exhausting, which in turn only makes it worse. Being dreadfully tired but unable to sleep all night and have to go to work in less than 2 hours. It actually makes me emotional, like I'm pleading with my brain to just fall asleep already. I have idiopathic insomnia. It's insomnia with no known cause or cure. Your brain just refuses to shut down for no good reason. You can treat it with medication but can never fully fix it or stop it from happening. I remember going through a particularly bad bout of it a few years ago where I was awake for about 3 days. I was trying everything. Chugging NyQuil, pounding beers at 6 AM as the sun was coming up, taking the benzo prescribed for me from my neurologist. My dad gave me some of his Xyrem prescription, GHB, and even that didn't work. Nothing was working. I was beyond exhausted and could barely move yet just couldn't fall asleep. I ended up losing it and just started sobbing in the living room while surrounded by beer bottles. All I wanted was to finally sleep and my brain still wouldn't let me. I know my emotions were probably heightened due to the mental exhaustion, but it was one of the most intense feelings of sadness and hopelessness I've ever experienced. Being an introvert and having your social battery run out before it's time to go. A friend told his new girlfriend that I get people sick when he was describing me to her. I like that. People sick. It's like my social tank runs out of fuel quicker than most people I know. I just get overwhelmed and overstimulated easily with lots of talking and loud noises and music, and I get so exhausted and worn out. Sometimes when people don't know me very well they'll take it personally, and that's my biggest fear. If my tank is empty and I need a break or something, I always profusely apologize because I don't want people to get offended and think that I don't like them. I honestly like most people I meet, but I have a low tolerance for socializing. I think it might be because my empathy dial was turned up to 10 and the knob broke off. It's hard for me to hear people talk about something bad happening to them because it's like I'm feeling their emotions with them. I don't watch the news or true crime stuff because I'm so easily affected by tragedy and I get depressed. This is super exhausting because I still have my own emotions to deal with on top of all that crap, so a room full of people wears me out like a marathon. IDK, maybe I just need therapy instead of letting off steam in Reddit comments. But then I would have to talk to someone for an hour and I just don't have the energy. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.